never forget. It's a quiet fight. In their shadow, guard the light. We are still here. Reason prevails. Arm in arm, we will not fail.
Keep breathing, write it down. When words are crimes, your breath is power now.
Stay alive, level one. Bear witness, we're not done. Speak out when time is right. We remain. It's a quiet fight. Drink your water, move in the dark. Breathe in and out. Don't lose the spark. Don't show your cards. Don't give it away. Just stay tonight. Tomorrow's our day.
Live today, outlast their storm. Speak for those whose voices go unknown.
Stay alive, level one. Bear witness, we're not done. Speak out when time is right. We remain. It's a quiet fight. Don't give up the fight. Don't give up the fight.
Good evening, Cora Horse. What a week. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Somebody let me know if that's not the case. Check, check, check. My mic levels are bouncing. So yeah. Hi. This is kind of an impromptu thing. Normally on Fridays I've been trying to do something a little more fun, but it's a little difficult to do this week. So I decided we really need an opportunity now to kick back into gear a project that I started last year and just haven't had a lot of time to finish, and that is overview, our meditation. I want to mark this that this date when we record this is the week that Renee Nicole Good was murdered by ICE agents. And she isn't the first. And I didn't know who she was, obviously. Most of us didn't know who she was before this. So many have lost their lives since the implementation of this new enforcement strategy. That's what it could be called. But I'm not here to talk to the politics. I'm not here even to speak my normal opposition to fascism, which, by the way, is now considered a reason to investigate or even arrest people in an organization in America to oppose fascism. It's remarkable. But I don't know if you have felt it, and I say that only rhetorically because I know there are many of you out there who have felt it. But this is exhausting. Resistance doesn't have to be violent. In fact, the most important resistance is nonviolent. Most important resistance, as I said in a sermon I gave last year that has been carrying me through for a while now, is to stay alive. Some of you remember maybe a godless sermon I gave called Forgetting is Not Forgiving, in which I had said, and I do believe, that the three basic acts of resistance for everybody is number one, to stay alive. Number two, to bear witness. And number three, to speak out. Not everybody has to do level 3. Not everybody can do level 2. And not everyone will do level 1. Renee couldn't do level 1. Renee couldn't stay alive. And it falls to all of us then to bear record, bear witness of it. Because if there is no one who survives the resistance, there's no reason to resist. And if there's no memory of what happened here, of how it hurt us, it will come back. I talked last year about, in that sermon, about how the number of high school graduates who knew about the Holocaust had fallen so drastically that we were certain to see it again because they don't go away. They go quiet. That's why it's important to survive. But more importantly, it's important to bear witness. This happened. Overview is an experimental godless meditation practice, one I'm particularly proud of. Since I started traveling in my van, which is just completed some repairs, so we're going to get back on the road. I have some blankets that we're taking to Colorado City soon. We're thinking we were donated a bunch of blankets. I'm very grateful for that have childlike prints on them, like dinosaurs and things like this. And they're those tied felt blankets. They're great. If people out there want to make blankets like that, those don't go very fast on the streets. I can tell you that. People look at them and it makes them think of, children and things. And they're not really quite big enough to do much for an adult out in the cold. So I was talking with one of my luminaries, who's my dear sister in blood and in chosen family, Nikki. And we were talking this week about how right nearby to where we are in St. George is Colorado City. And there are a lot of families there who have escaped the FLDS and the polygamist cult of Warren Jeffs and Joseph Smith, and etc. And how many of them are women who are being helped by the domestic violence shelters down there that are struggling, and domestic violence resources, related resources in the United States have greatly diminished, and it's likely to get worse. So in the midst of that, in any event, I was telling you this. Let me finish this. I'm going to ramble for just a minute. Then we're going to do overview. Um, in the midst of that, I've thought about back frequently to my street preaching tour in October, where I went from Salt Lake City, where I preached in front of the conference center as the Mormons were going into their general conference, down to Moab, over to Albuquerque, where I didn't do a sermon, but instead visited with a Korahor who lives out there, and over to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I preached on the corner of the Woody Guthrie Park there. Woody Guthrie, one of my great heroes. And then on to Virginia, where in the midst of a very clean, very amicable divorce, I spiraled out a little bit, kind of lost my way a little bit. And during that time, I frequently would ask myself, Joe, do you believe in this? Are you going to keep doing this? What are you going to quit? What's going to change in 2026? And it was interesting that while I was traveling across the country, I wore these shirts. I just took one off. I have one that says "Clergy do not shoot," and everybody who saw it laughed. Pretty much everybody who saw it laughed. They're like, "Okay, guy, whatever, clergy. It's not so funny anymore." I've been saying this for a year. I've been saying this for a year. That it was about 3 weeks ago, I think, that there was a protest around an ICE center in, I want to say it was in Chicago, maybe Portland, and a Catholic priest with a bullhorn started preaching the gospel of Jesus. A Catholic priest on the streets, on American streets. Boom! Took a non-lethal hit right to the body. Bam! Shot with a non-lethal round. It was funny until it happened. I called it, but I don't get any extra points for that. I don't give myself points for that. The other shirt that I have says, "Do you overview?" And underneath it says korahor.org. And I had people at gas stations. I had people at restaurants. I had people at my sermons who saw me wearing that shirt that said, "Do you overview?" korahor.org. And looked at that and said, "What does that mean?" And I said, "Oh, it's still in development. We're still working on it, but this is an experimental godless meditation practice for people like me who are atheists and agnostics and don't, or at least just don't actively believe in God, but are spiritual and want to reduce our anxiety, to use scientific truths and wonder to create a sense of wonder and awe on a regular basis, to be able to take moments to drop out of our anxiety and alleviate it for a minute, and have the power to resist, have the power to endure, have the strength to go on." And I can't tell you how many people looked me in the eyes as I told them about this, and then took out a slip of paper and wrote out korahor.org, or pulled out their phones and put out korahor.org. And I had to say, it's still in development, so it's not really working, the app, but we're working on it. And really, we just need to record more of these in order to have something. And a number of people said, "I don't care. I love this." I mentioned it in a TikTok response to my friend, to one of my Exmo friends who had posted and said, "Boy, it's so hard right now." He said, "With everything going on, it's so hard right now. Post, people out there in the Exmo world, post something that's good. Tell me something that's good." Hello. Welcome. We're the Cora Horse. I'm doing well, Angela. Thank you for being here. Hey, how's it going, Lisa? You're great, Lisa. You're the best. Um, and anyway, I wanted to get a chance to record this with us. Oh, she said, post something that is good. And I stitched a reply and I said, I have a church of godless people that I started, committed to the name of Korihor, the Church of Korihor. And our little godless community is experimenting with a new form of godless meditation, an app that lets you listen to meditation sessions with or without music and at varying volumes of the audio of the spoken word versus the music. Because some people just don't like music. I find a lot of women, particularly, say that they find the music that's often in the background of meditation either find it very distracting or they find that it's not loud enough and they wish that it was more ethereal. And so women comment on these meditation videos on YouTube. For a while before I started the Church of Korihor, I was saying that I wanted to start recording meditations that were godless, that didn't have any woo-woo crap in them. And because I get a lot of compliments on my voice, and I wanted to try it. I wanted there to be something out there that you could listen to it and know that you're not going to get anything too wooey. You're going to get like real stuff, something that could really give you a sense of wonder, and you don't have to stop and think, God, am I going to get something about think about paradise or think about God or think about how God made us all his blah blah blah. I'm like, if I could just know that's not going to come up, if I can just know I can have full confidence that this is just going to be the good shit. That's what's missing for me. It's the reason why I don't do as much guided meditation. I just do meditation by myself. And I thought, people are always telling me if you made, well, mainly it's partners who think I have a sexy voice, but other people too said if you recorded something like that, I'd listen to it because that would be really good. And I said, well, I was going to do that. Didn't really have a whole lot of time with work and Hellfire Agency and everything. And then when I started the Church of Korihor, I said, that's it. This is it. We're going to start doing this. So I want to share with you an overview I wrote to help us all drop out of our anxiety for a minute, hopefully, achieve a sense of wonder. Um, it's an experimental thing. Give it room to play. And I wanted to share this with you. This is just kind of compiled from my notes and a little bit of research. And I just wanted to share it with you. And then we'll drop out. We're doing well, Angela. Thank you. I'm in Utah. I'm from Arizona. Anyway, so we do this thing? Let's do it. So I want you to take a moment and give room to play. If you need to, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. There are no rules. And I'd like you to take a moment and just pay attention to where you are. Consider for a moment the sensation around the bridge of your nose. I want you to think about the bridge of your nose as a space, gradually thinking less about it being a part of you and more about its being space. I want you to think about the bridge of your nose and your sinuses beneath. I want you to think about your eyes all the way around And imagine them less as a part of you and more as space. Space with stuff, star stuff. Star stuff that was formed by the stars. So many stars, in fact, that almost no two atoms in one eye or the other came from the same exploding star. That's how many stars died in making one eye and the other, making all the particles that are you. I want you to consider for a moment as you imagine that space, your head emanating heat and light. Not like light, but actual infrared light into the universe around you. Not from you to the universe, but you as a part of the universe. That the universe doesn't give you anything. That you are the universe. You are in it, you swim in it all day, every day. I want you to consider now how many mothers chose to raise a child or to give a child the best possible future that they could. Some of them were good at it. Most of them were flawed. To think of the fathers who brought forth these generations of you. Some of them were good, hopefully. Many of them were bad. All of them human beings that suffered just like you and me. Think of these generations of people who made sacrifices in hopes of a life that they could want for themselves and hopefully that they wanted for their children, generation after generation, to become you. I want you to consider that this planet has existed a little more than 4 billion years. About a little more than 3 billion of those is believed to have harbored life. For billions of years, we don't have any record of our actual ancestry. Somewhere in the oceans, probably. Crawling out of the oceans, some kind of rat-like creature, maybe, likely. But for all those billions of years, with no human to observe it, creatures lived and died, and it was entirely normal. Life was entirely normal on this pale blue dot. I want you to expand that space that we just created from the bridge of your nose out into your head. I want you to follow me through and just imagine for a moment a giant cavern over your head. I want you to imagine the air in this stone cavern overhead. I want you to imagine the temperature is not too cold, but not too warm. Your entire body is comfortable. I want you to imagine inside this cavern, you and your entire body are floating in a golden pool of comfort. It's only imaginary. Can't hurt you. This golden pool of comfort All of the aches and pains and worries of your day seep out of your nervous system, out of nerve cells, very much like the ones inside your head that we're so proud of, all over your body, down your shoulders and your arms, out through your fingers. So to imagine all of the neurons stretched out in a complex web throughout your gut, your abdomen spread out. I've mentioned before this startling statistic I heard from Sam Harris, of all people, that said we now know that the average human has as many brain cells in their viscera as the average canine has in its head. That's how much processing power you have in your body outside of the head where we think we must mainly exist. I want you to imagine how much your body keeps the score in that viscera. I want you to take a moment and let the sensations that come up when you imagine that, the pain, the comfort, the joy, the sorrow, that's always processing throughout your body, and let it come up. As it comes up, note the feelings, colors, temperatures, words, voices, anything that comes up for you, the stuff that's going on inside your experience, your inner world, all day, every day, the background noise of your life, your trauma, your hope, your experience. I want you to imagine a conduit, like a heavy ball deep inside your abdomen that draws all of those thoughts, impressions, feelings to it. Draws and draws them deep inwardly. You don't have to do anything, it just does it on its own. And that ball gathers all of those feelings, all of those extra thoughts. You don't have to do anything, it just does it for you. And as you lie in this golden pool of comfort and breathe the crisp, clean air of this cavern, your ears dipping below the level of the pool, that familiar sensation of the sounds muffled by the water. Let that heavy, heavy ball of concerns and pain, frustration, all of the social media comments, all the moments where you thought, should I have said that? Should I have typed that? All the moments that you thought, why doesn't anyone care? All the moments that you thought, is it stupid to care? All of those things where the experience of the world that is you made you feel inadequate, made you feel stupid, made you feel less than. I want you to remember, as those feelings absorb into this heavy ball, this conduit, to allow them to escape, how much of that was given to you by someone else. This is not yours. It's someone else's. And you don't have to carry it right now. as you allow all of that to absorb into this heavy ball deep inside of your core being, I want you to let that heavy ball in a dimension outside of time and space slip slowly, all by itself, without your having to do anything. Just let it slip away. Let it slip into the pool of comfort with all the cares of your day. All of those moments of now. Those moments where we could stop and let go and don't realize that we have chosen to be stressed. Without having to think about it, we chose to be worried without having to think about anything. We still have this background noise all the time. And you don't have to right now. As you float in this pool of comfort, I want you to consider with me something real. I want you to open your heart and mind to the experience of wonder. I want you to hear these words and let yourself continue to just feel. Right now, it's okay to feel whatever you feel, to let your body, your nervous system, give the feedback that it gives. Just let it flow. And know that you are strong enough. You are strong enough to carry it all day, every day. You're strong enough to let it come up. Of all of humanity's improvements, the most significant may be the intrauterine device. Prior to 1900, no evidence exists for an effective birth control system. The results from implanting a device into the uterus or cervix. And its effects go far beyond birth, pregnancy, even sex. The IUD has greatly reduced instances of heavy menstrual bleeding. It has had direct benefits to human beings and their ability to enjoy life, our ability to enjoy life, and even our ability to be alive all over the planet. One way that the IUD has changed the world is in saving babies. According to the World Health Organization, birth intervals of less than 18 months are associated with significantly higher neonatal and infant mortality. IUDs are one of the most effective tools ever created for achieving healthy birth spacing because they are long acting and low failure. And this is not a small impact. In Bangladesh, infant mortality infant mortality per 1,000 live births has decreased from 95.2 in 1990 to 20.6 in 2023. In Iran, infant mortality has fallen from 43 per 1,000 live births in 1990 to 11.9 in 2023. One of the most impressive and amazing statistics I found. In Mexico, infant mortality rates have dropped from 105.3 per 1,000 live births in 1960 to 10.8 in 2023. Now, there are many changes that have happened in those years, and the IUD was only one of them, but it definitely was one of them, and a significant one. One of the countries that has been slowest to implement widespread access to IUDs is the United States of America. Stigma around the use of IUDs was a major factor, but perhaps the most significant reason was cost. And the thing that has changed that in our lives was Obamacare. Even before Obamacare, Colorado ran a program that made IUDs and similar birth control easier to get. And in just 5 years, 2,300 more young women in Colorado finished a 4-year college degree than would have otherwise, directly as a result of expanded access to contraceptive methods like IUDs. Before the ACA, the cost of an IUD, including insertion, without insurance, would range from $500 to $1,800. For those who had insurance, the average out-of-pocket cost for an IUD insertion was approximately $262. This is well after the access was available in countries all over the world. In America, the average cost was $262. Within 1 year of the implementation of the ACA, the number of insured women with no out-of-pocket cost for an IUD rose from 42% to 87%. The average out-of-pocket cost for an IUD insertion dropped from $262 to just $84.30 immediately after the ACA. I want you to think for a moment about this incredible achievement. When humanity invests in the ability of women to enjoy being alive, everyone is blessed. It comes from science, but it comes from a willingness of human beings to explore a deep question that doesn't have natural solutions. We are the natural solution. And we chose to allow women to choose whether or not they got trapped into an abusive relationship by pregnancy, to choose when to have a family, to choose when to have babies, to choose for themselves whether or not they wanted to have sex, to choose for themselves what other options they might explore, like going to college. Since contraception has become more widely available, girls have increased among applicants to college and graduates from college. In some cases, more girls, more women graduate from college than men. Consider how contraception, like IUDs, have actually transformed what offices look like, what entrepreneurialism looks like, how many scientists there are in the world. Because when we invest in women, everything, every single person benefits, and especially the children born to mothers who chose when they were ready to bring a person into the world. That's the impact of the IUD. I want you to imagine what the world might have been like without that innovation. And imagine how many people this simple invention has benefited. How many people's lives are better because of it. One simple thing: invest in the ability of women to choose, and suddenly everyone is better off. The week that we recorded this overview, award-winning poet Renee Nicole Good was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. She was a mother and a partner. She was not a terrorist. She was a poet. I want to share with you her award-winning poem, I Want Back My Rocking Chairs, solipsist sunsets, and coastal jungle sounds that are tercets from cicadas and pentameter from the hairy legs of cockroaches. I've donated Bibles to thrift stores, mashed them in plastic trash bags with an acidic Himalayan salt lamp. The post-baptism Bibles, the ones plucked from street corners, from the meaty hands of zealots, and the dumbed down, easy to read, parasitic kind. Remember more the slick rubber smell of high-gloss biology textbook pictures. They burned the hairs inside my nostrils, and salt and ink that rubbed off on my palms. Under clippings of the moon at 2:45 a.m., I study and repeat. Ribosome, endoplasmic, lactic acid, stamen. At the IHOP on the corner of Powers and Stetson Hills, I repeated and scribbled until it picked its way and stagnated somewhere I can't point to anymore, maybe my gut. Maybe there, in between my pancreas and large intestine, is the piddly brook of my soul. It's the ruler by which I reduce all things now, hard-edged and splintering, from knowledge that used to sit, a cloth against fevered forehead. Can I let them both be? This fickle faith and this college science that heckles from the back of the classroom. Now I can't believe that the Bible and Quran and Bhagavad Gita are sliding along hairs behind my ear like mom used to, and exhaling from their mouths make room for wonder. All my understanding dribbles down the chin onto the chest and is summarized as life is merely to ovum and sperm, and where those two meet, and how often and how well, and what dies there. As you return, I'd like for you to consider again that it's a quiet fight. You don't have to do anything but stay alive. Just do level 1 for now. If all you do is level 1, you did more than Renee, who would have stayed with us if she could. You did better than Max Sievers, who would have stayed if he could. You did better than Trayvon Martin, who would have stayed if he could. Sometimes resistance is spelled out in the victory of just staying alive. And you don't have to be responsible for anything else. I'm going to leave you here now. I'm going to play for you again The Quiet Fight. I want to thank you guys for coming out. And I want to tell you, I know that it's hard. I know it's hard to keep going. I feel it too. But you can do it. You've done harder stuff than this. Don't ever forget that.
Never forget, it's a quiet fight. In their shadow, guard the light. We are still here, reason prevails, arm in arm.